Wonderful. It's a pleasure for me to stand in front of you today and share this brief safety moment today. And what I would like to talk about today is the issue of non-communicable diseases. They have sort of taken center stage recently globally as the leading cause of morbidity and mortality. So when we talk about non-communicable diseases, we are talking about these chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancers. These are often linked to our lifestyle choices, and they develop gradually over the years. And since many of us, we spend a whole lot of time at work, we sort of lead sedentary work lives. So the key risks and prevention tips for NCDs focusing on our work lives. There's one, physical inactivity. Sitting for long periods of time, it increases the risk of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. So stretch your legs every hour, take 30-minute walks, opt for walk meetings, and use stairs instead of elevators. And then the other risk factor is poor diet and unhealthy eating habits. Excess sugar and processed foods, they are linked to, they have been known to contribute to also obesity and heart disease. So it's advisable to opt for whole grain foods, for vegetables, and drinking lots of water instead of sodas. And then stress and mental health have also been known to weaken immunity, therefore, in Western conditions like hypertension. So what does that mean is take breaks, mental health breaks when you need one. Go for leaves when you need them so that you can recoup and recover. Then also tobacco and alcohol. Excessive tobacco and alcohol has been known to, these are both factors for the risk factors for cancers, for liver disease, for hypertension and heart disease. So seek support when you need it. Quit now if you can. Drink in moderation if you have to drink. And then make use of support programs like Net or anti-tobacco network that have programs that help you to quit if you want to quit. And then also preventative health checks. For chronic diseases, it's important to detect these issues early. And nowadays, most clinics, they offer free health screening for NCDs. So please take use of this and go for your regular screening. And as a word of advice, do it today, do it when you still can, do it when you have the time. And for our moving on to our safety here tonight, let me reassure you of our commitment to ensuring your safety here tonight. Should alarms sound at any point during the proceedings, please kindly move out from the hall through the marked emergency exit doors to the assembly point outside behind the hall. And then for those who are here for the first time, the restrooms are located by the foyer next to the ATM, with both the male and female on either side. And as you'll be leaving the lecture hall tonight, please let's practice some caution when we are walking towards our cars in those underlit parking areas. For all those who will be taking the podium today and everyone who's going to be walking up and down the hall, please, there are some power and HDMI cables on the floor. Let's be careful so that we don't trip. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. At this point, I noticed that something is omitted. I'll just easily do that very quickly by introducing executive management and possibly also the Biust directorate. It is important. And on that note, therefore, let me take this opportunity to introduce the Vice Chancellor of Botswana International Institute of Science and Technology, Biust, Professor Todoro. It's in our presence. Secondly, allow me to introduce the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Development and Innovation, under which the Biust Directorate falls in, Prof. Ogu. And then I also note the following deans of academic schools that are present. If you allow me to just generalize, oh yes, I've omitted to notice that Professor Gesese is taking in as acting Deputy Vice Chancellor teaching and learning. And I think those are present only the executive management team of the university. And I'll also take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of the school deans that are present, starting with Professor Makepe for the School of Business and Professional Development. And then let me introduce also the who other deans. Yes. Let me introduce the dean of SENE, Professor Chibaruro. And then I don't think I see any other school dean here. Allow me to also introduce all directors and express that you are directors of directors. Oh yes, I think I should honestly introduce Dr. Suki, who is the whole director of this event. Let's get it. Thank you very much. And then at this point, I think I should also introduce our very important customer, being the Student Representative Council. I believe the gentleman sitting next to Prof. Gesese is the SRC president. Am I correct?
No.
Well, the SRC president or representative.
We can recognize him, he is very much more people.
Oh, yes, my error. As I said, I'm guided, but your presence is recognized. So, thank you so much. Let me say that, let me also appreciate and acknowledge the attendance of all other staff members that are not listed in the other categories. And also acknowledge the presence of the student community who are here, so that maybe what Prof. Zungeru'S is going to be doing, one day we expect that one of our students must also be doing this. I think they are right. Now, having said that, let me immediately call on to the next agenda item, which is number 3, introduction of guests by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, Development and Innovation. Now, I believe that whichever guests that are here and or log on virtually, they will be under the scope of the Deputy Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, Greg Richards. Good evening, Vice Chancellor, and good evening to your community. I would like to also welcome our guests who would have joined online, the Permanent Secretary, senior government officials, and so many people who are involved with our activities in Biust. Most of whom would have joined us online this evening for this momentous occasion. Also like to thank the Vice Chancellor for taking out the time. We have a very busy schedule, but this is a very momentous occasion in the history of youth, as Richard mentioned, and the Vice Chancellor is here to support us. And I think I will also take the liberty, because Richard introduced everybody, but the guest speaker, you forgot to introduce him. So I also want to welcome the speaker, Professor Adamu Zungeru. Professor Adamu Zungeru is a Biust academic. He did his postgraduate training in electronic engineering. I think he did a master's at Ahmadu University, Zaria, Nigeria, and he did his PhD in Nottingham University. Is that correct, sir? Yes, and he joined Biust, and he has gone through promotions. He's currently an associate professor, and he's doing the lead person in the area of the patents that we're going to talk about. He works with the group, but he's the leader of the whole group, and they've been doing a lot of work, and this is a great opportunity for him to get the Biust community and the international and national community familiar with this work. Also, we expect that more academics will follow that. He's a trailblazer along with his team, and they will follow the direction of what is going on. And those from industries, our guests from industries who have joined us this evening, will look at the opportunity of investing in some of the activities that they have been doing. Thank you and you're welcome. And the next speaker is the Vice Chancellor. I'm sure we'll hear. Thank you.
Oh, I've been told. Yes. In absentia.
Let me write on the protocol that has been observed by the Director of Ceremony, Reyes Singalo, and of course my colleague, Professor Abraham Ataogo, and recognize those who are here tonight and those who are online. I wish to recognize you, and a special recognition goes to the presenter, Professor Zungeru'S. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yumela Mbares. Hey, Lamuka. Lamuka. Yumela. That means it's good. Hey, let me go like this. It is both an honor and pleasure to welcome you to today's public lecture entitled Intellectual Property Rights, a case of abuse patents on method and system for sorting of diamonds, an electrical switching system for building or installation, and a farmyard access control system and method. That's the title of tonight's public lecture. We have been yearning for public lectures because public lectures gives us an opportunity as professors, as researchers, as students, as staff to impart knowledge about the things that are so germane to us that we do on a daily basis. And I'm very grateful that Professor Zungeru'S has taken the lead to come and give us a public lecture around his area of research, some of which so important. All of them are so important to this nation. If you are talking about diamonds, you are talking about farms, you know, even when you have 50 goats, it's so difficult to count them. No, there should be a better scientific method of counting animals as they get into the crop or as they get into the farmyard. We are at a point where we preach sustainability. And by preaching sustainability, we want to minimize usage of energy or no use of energy where it is not needed. So you must develop smart systems as engineers. Develop smart systems such that if there are certain spaces where you don't need energy, you are able to just do that. Don't provide energy in whatever form in those rooms. We are going to hear more about all these inventions tonight, and let them inspire you. I can see some young people here. Let them inspire you so that you can go and do even better. I always tell people that as professors, we should always be grateful that those who take over from us are even better than us. And I think that is the inspiration that we are going to get tonight from Professor Zungeru'S. at Biust, we are dedicated to contributing meaningfully to the role of transforming Botswana into a knowledge-based economy. We are creating knowledge as researchers, as professors, as students, as staff. And as we generate knowledge, this knowledge must be sold to others so that we can make money out of it. Gone are the days when all of us wrote Rabole Manche, Relemama Hapu, Relemama Bele. Where are the knowledge workers? We have to challenge ourselves that as a country, we must reach a stage where we must generate knowledge and sell it to others. Other than what Prof. Zungeru'S is going to lecture to you tonight, I know that for sure we have already sent a satellite into space. And from that satellite, we are going to generate knowledge about Botswana. And this knowledge has to be mined by techpreneurs. Young people like you must be ambitious. You must be thirsty. You must be go-getters. Say, what are we going to do with this satellite data? Let's mine it. Let's convert it into forms, into products and services that can change the lives of Botswana in whatever way you have imagined. That is what we are looking for. Yes, there is nothing wrong with having a backyard garden, but you are a knowledge worker. We are expecting more from you in terms of using this knowledge and converting it into products that can change the lives of ordinary Botswana in Molapawuja. That's what we are aiming for. We aim to do this through innovative research, innovation, and the deliberate protection and commercialization of IP. We'll hear more about IP tonight. Our focus on intellectual property rights is not merely academic, but strategic. It allows us to turn the outcomes of research into actual solutions with practical value that will build industries and contribute to the national development. Today's discussion of patents is a prime illustration of this kind of commitment. As a Vice Chancellor, I go around challenging people. With the research that you do, can you really make a difference in the lives of Botswana? You want to hear that you are investigating a challenge somewhere in box space in the car, and you are finding a solution for it. In that way, our pillar of social relevance will be attained. We have pillars. We are privileged to have a speaker this evening, Professor Zungeru'S, a renowned academic and innovator who has played a key role in driving research excellence at Biust. Always admire his profile. How many hits has he had every week? How many people have cited his work? You see, if you are producing work that has got no value or no impact, nobody quotes you. Nobody, you cannot be a point of reference. Let me tell you, I spent 27 years of my life at a university called University of Botswana, and I rose through the ranks to become a deputy vice chancellor, academic affairs at that university. I've been here at Biust now for 9 years as a VC. I want to tell you a story because I was superintending over academic affairs. Some researchers This is very funny. Send me some papers requesting for promotions, and they were saying they were doing experiment on rats. One of my degrees is biology. And some of these rats were weighing about 240 kilograms. Can you imagine this? And I had always suspected that these people are cooking papers somewhere. They have not experimented, and they were even in a department where they didn't have laboratories. And here they are writing papers about rats, and these rats, all of them without fail. If it was just a minor mistake, then I would understand. Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, we want to be promoted to be associate professors and professors with these papers. So I'm saying all these things because we are monitoring you, if you don't know. Don't give me any paper that is questionable because I'll find out. I'll find out. And then somebody check me and say, hey, DVC, you know, these people are unethical in the conduct. I'll show you. And then he wrote a nonsense paper, and then he sent it to a certain journal. And then the next day, that nonsense paper was approved and paid $200 US. So I'm mentioning all these things because here I am deeply experienced with now what Biust is doing. Be assured that we have the best of the best professors here. And that's why, as I conclude that note, we are always measured by Times Higher Education of London, and without fail, we are a #1 university in Botswana. So you have made a very good choice. You have made a very good choice. As the head of the Department of Electrical and Communication Systems Engineering, Professor Zungeru'S has consistently led high-impact research initiatives. He graduated about 3 PhD in the last graduation ceremony. At a go, not over his lifespan. I don't want to talk about that. His technical expertise has culminated in several patentable technologies that are both scientifically robust and practically relevant. His work is a testament to Biust's capacity to produce globally competitive innovations rooted in local relevance. Allow me to briefly highlight the 3 remarkable patents that form the foundation of tonight's lecture. A method and system for sorting of diamonds. The previous government and the current government are interested in this invention because we are a diamond country. We produce diamonds, some of the best in the world. Sadly, we are also under Trump's tariffs. 37% we have to pay tax on anything that is coming out of this country. That's sad. Because we rely on diamonds as they sustained us for many years, and they'll continue sustaining us into the future. The patent represents a revolutionary way of sorting diamonds, while Botswana maintains its world leadership in diamond productions. Innovations like this help ensure we stay competitive, efficient, and technologically equipped. This innovation illustrates Biust's vision of adding value to Botswana's diamond beneficiation efforts. The electrical switching system for a building or installation. This invention presents a secure and centralized smart switching system that enables local and remote control of a building's electrical circuits. Features such as SMS-based remote access, security integration, and energy efficiency management make it ideal for smart home and commercial building applications. A fully functional prototype of this innovation is currently installed at the Biust off-grid secured smart house, serving as a real-world example of how smart infrastructure can be implemented even in rural and off-grid contexts. Commune access control system method, the latest addition to this growing IP portfolio, this invention will revolutionize livestock management by automating access control, animal counting, and real-time data monitoring. The system includes an automated gate, a flexible suite of sensors, and a user-friendly interface for farmers. It is designed for durability, versatility, and precision, meeting the unique needs of both small-scale and commercial farming enterprises. With agriculture being a cornerstone of our economy, this technology promises to significantly enhance their productivity, security, and farm operational efficiency. These innovations not only underscore the quality of research that is being undertaken at Biust, but also indicate the importance of IP protection. By patenting our innovations, we have paved the way for commercialization, technology transfer, and wider societal impact. Moreover, they show the prospects of partnership between academia and industry in addressing national challenges through locally developed solutions. I guess all these solutions that the Prof is going to talk about tonight will be immediately applicable in the Republic of South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Ethiopia, all over the world. That's why I'm talking about locally developed solutions that can be exported to other nations. And therefore, encourage all of you, researchers, students, industry partners, and stakeholders to actively participate in the discussions that will follow their presentations. Let us reflect on how we can leverage these inventions to catalyze economic transformation, support enterprise development, and drive inclusive growth. Thank you for your presence and continue support of science, innovation, and intellectual property development at Biust. I look forward to a rich and thought-provoking session. Thank you, Kiale Woka. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Now that keynote presenter has been introduced, I think it is the time to allow him in. Now, I made a very great mistake. Hopefully, just myself and him knows. That great mistake was my failure to introduce Professor Mutala A. Zungeru'S. But see, there are other reasons that you need not know, but myself and him are very close, even outside. Maybe that's just why I didn't introduce him. At this point, let me call on the main agenda item of the day, being the public lecture as announced by no other than Prof. Mutala A. Zungeru'S.
The leadership of youth, good evening, colleagues online, colleagues present in-house, have already been introduced. Let me not waste much of our time. Let me just thank everyone for making up time to attend to this topic today. The title has already been introduced. It's intellectual property rights, the case of Biust patent on method and system for constructing diamonds, electrical switches, system for installation and buildings, and a familiar access control system and network. I'm from the Department of Electrical and Communication System Engineering, the department where I hold for 6 years, 3 months as head of the department, which I've just handed over to another person to take up the leadership so that I can concentrate on my teaching and research. Our colleagues, the outline of today's public lecture is presented. The overview of IP rights, and we now move down to patents, how patent is being obtained, patenting abroad, and take examples of the patents or the rights that have been granted to Biust. As colleagues, Biust so far have 3 inventions which have already been granted patents. Biust have accumulated 7 granted patents, and 1 patent already allowed as pending payment. That means we are going to have 8 registered patents out of the 3 inventions. Before I continue to the main topic, which is on patents, I want to highlight on the key IP rights so that we are able to familiarize with some of those rights. But before then, we need to know what intellectual property means. Intellectual property is a creation of the mind. That means this is within the mind, which comes in form of an idea. But before you are able to be given that right, you need to put the right in black and white, meaning you need to document it and pass it to who will give you that right. If it's just within your brain, which is just an idea, you can't be given the right. So you need to document and follow the procedure. So there are 2 broad categories of this IP, the industrial property and the copyright and related rights. The industrial property, where I will now narrow down to patent, it has inventions. When we talk about inventions, we are talking about nothing but patents. And the brother of, or the younger brother to patent is utility model. Then we have others which are trademarks, industrial design, geographic indication, traditional knowledge, and trade secrets, which we shall talk about as we proceed. Now, I will just quickly brush through all those rights, which are not the key for today's talk. Copyright, this provides protection to authors. Authors, in this case, those that actually come up with the work, those that created the work. And those are the writers, the artists, music composers, and others. But again, there are others who also benefit from that right, which are those that have the related rights. And those are those that perform that right that is given to that creator. And those are the musicians, the actors, the singers, dancers, and all that, which help to perform the right. And also the producers and recorders, and also those who broadcast that work, which are the broadcasting organization. Other related right, other rights are the trademark. A trademark is nothing but a sign that is used to identify a certain good and services. For example, you can see there, I know 2 days ago, there was a light off. I have to rush to Nando's because I like that sign. Because if that is one of a trademark to identify Nando's, you can't, anywhere you see Nando's, you know that is Nando's. So that is one. There and all that, there are those rights, those marks that indicate where those services are being obtained. The period of protection for these rights is usually 10 years, but it can be renewed indefinitely, right? We have also geographic indication. Those also are signs used for goods that are produced within a certain region. So, for example, like the Darjeeling tea, which is produced in the Darjeeling farm. We have the Swiss watch, which is an indication for watches that are produced in the Swiss land. So you understand what the Swiss. So those are some of the geographic indication in Botswana. I think at the moment we are developing procedures to be able to get some of those geographic indicators as well. We have another one, the trade secrets. Trade secrets are confidential information, which you don't need to follow any legal or any documentation, any process to be able to get that right. As long as you keep it secret, you own that right, but don't disclose it, right? And that is why for products, it's difficult to keep it secret. If it's a machine or anything that one is able to see, you can't keep it secret, because by the time you manufacture it, you sell it out, someone will break it down and see what it's composed of. So it's very difficult. And that is why we'll go into patent later to see why you need to patent. Those trademarks have commercial value because it's secret and subject to reasonable steps that need to be taken by you so that you don't disclose it. There is no registration required for trade secrets. Trade secrets are protected by common law in case if there's any dispute. So you need to follow that procedure. Examples are the Coca-Cola formula, KFC secret. You know, I like food, so that is why I'm citing those ones. KFC secret, 11 herbs and spice. Others are the industrial design, which is a monumental aspect of article. And those are just the one I just mentioned so that I could quickly move into a patent. I just want to give you a background of some of the other IP rights. Now we move into the key, which is the patent. What is patent itself? When we say patent, what is a patent? Because you created something, and that thing that you say you created, you need to protect it, and you need to be given the rights so that others don't ride on it. So a patent is nothing but an exclusive right that is granted by the state. A state, in this case, we are referring to a country. So whenever I talk of state, mirror it, I'm referring to a country. For an invention that is new, involves an inventive step, and is also capable of industrial application, meaning it must be useful, it must be novel, it must involve inventive steps, and it must be useful. If it's novel, it involves inventive step, and it's not useful, then it means it can't be granted patent rights. I will talk about all those as we proceed. Again, in other words, a patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention, which is a product or a process that provides a new way of doing something or offers a new technical solution to a problem. Let us not confuse ourselves with a new way of doing something in terms of publication. I will differentiate them later so that you don't say, oh, I have a new way of doing something and I publish it. It's different from that of patent. We'll get into it later. In return for that right, you must disclose the invention to the public. That disclosure to the public does not mean that you want to put it in the public domain. No, it's that office that is given that power to grant you that right that will disclose it to the public. So you disclose to the office, and afterwards, after a certain period, they put it out in the public domain. They must put it out in the public domain because so that people are able to use it, but not that they're able to manufacture to ride on you, but they should be able to use it. Patent generally grant right to you for you to exclude others without permission, so that they can't manufacture, they can't decide, they can't dispose, they can't import or use the patented invention. Meaning, if you are granted a patent in Botswana, if you did not apply for patent in Zambia, someone can produce that particular thing in Zambia, use it in that place, but he cannot import it into Botswana. So if you want to protect it, you also have to file for patent in Zambia. So the only thing is, the person cannot patent that particular work, but he can use it when you not protect it. So that is why when you invented, you have to look into countries that actually use that product so that you quickly protect it in those regions. So again, it's to grant owners so that owners are also be able to grant right to others. Via licensing, you can license your invention to others, your patent to others. You can also sell it off via assignment, maybe transfer it to others. And I think that is Biust will look at how they will use their patent as we proceed. We talk about it. Those rights are within 20 years. And for some countries, it's the 20 years start counting from when you file for patent. Whereas in other countries, it's when you are granted a patent. For example, for US, for our case, US started counting when we file our PCT application. That is in 2020. So already we've lost 5 years. So we are left with around 15 years. For Botswana, we were granted rights in 2023, and they start counting from there. So some countries start counting when you are getting the right, while some countries start counting when you apply for the protection. And the protection is not automatic. If you don't renew, sorry, your patents fall out. So you must, it's subject to maintenance. In US, it's not yearly. In Botswana, it's yearly, and it's very cheap in Botswana. It's just 300 kroner, right? But in US, you pay a lot of dollars, around 10 to 15,000. Yeah, and in some years, it's more expensive as you continue. So, but for US, it's 3.5 years, 7.5 years, 11.5 years in that order. So you're going to pay around 3 times. But it's very expensive. But it's not even expensive as compared to Europe, because Europe has about 39 countries under it. So indirectly, we charge you for those countries. So it's very expensive in Europe. It's territorial. And what I mean by territorial is why I said, you get a patent in Botswana, you did not get, as long as you don't file a patent in South Africa, it's not protected in South Africa. It's territorial. So patent is territoriality, and then only where you file for patent, you are granted the right. That is where you have patent. And that is why when I said Biust got 3 inventions with 8 patents. We have to separate inventions with patents, the patent right. So one patent can get 40-something patents. Okay? So what we mean by patent is that document that they give to you for people not to write on you. And example of it is what I just presented. This is what we're given by the US, and this is the patent that Biust holds in US. And the patent document will come with the patent certificate along with the patent document. Patent document is what you disclose to them, which they also put in the public domain. If you look at it, it's a United States patent by myself and others. The patent number is written, the date of the patent will also be written. Other information also will be contained in the document. This is just a front page of the patent document. It's about 20-something pages, I guess. But I will take us through a bit, but not in detail. Another one is the Russia patent, which also got granted. The Russia patent is also similar to that of the US, but we can't read it. They need to translate. But in the document, there is a translation of the document, but in the certificate is written in Russia. And let us also know that the patent documents are not going to be the same because they have different examiners. The abstract that you see in the US patent document will be different from the abstract you are going to see in the Russia patent document, because I have to be responding to different examiners. As we are talking, I'm still battling with the Canada. Europe, we are done. China, we just got it not few months ago also. So the prosecution of your patent application continues until you are granted the right. In Botswana, we have also 3 patents granted. I will put 2 here so that to limit space. This is the patent certificate. The patent document is published under the IP journal. So you go online, it's there. All our patent documents, they are all on the CIPA IP journal. And normally when they publish it, they will notify they will notify everyone to say, this journal volume is up. If you have any issue with any of the granted patents, you write, so that registrar will now take action. If you are not satisfied with the patent that is granted to someone, you can query. So that it's not just that you have got a patent, you mean that that is it. No, you can query it anytime. Yes. So an example of a patent is this Korean motorcycle elements manufacturer, which hold 42 patents worldwide. Hold 42 patents worldwide. The other one, another example is the Biust diamond sorter, which holds 6 patents worldwide. Sample of certificate I will display it later, which I've actually already displayed. I will explain the system a bit later on, but I'm just taking us through some of the patents. Another patent which was also granted to Biust is the Biust electrical switching system for a building on installation, which only holds a patent in Botswana. Colleagues, while it only holds a patent in Botswana, during the time of application, it was during the era of COVID. I was a bit slow to respond, and the duration for me to respond to file to enter the national phase elapsed. So I couldn't move into the national phase of others. So I only managed to get into the Botswana national phase. So I will explain the patent in detail as we later on. So this is just as the VC also highlighted that the prototype has been working since 2019 and is still working. So we are testing it to see how it works. People have been calling. I'm happy to also tell you that the BHC have also indicated interest for a very long time to be implemented in the upcoming BHC houses. But then we need to move it to the stage that, yes, it's rugged enough for houses to accommodate it. And that is why we have to now start seeking for funding from BIH. But you know this procedure. It's a thing we'll talk about later. So the other one is the Biust farmyard access control systems and methods, which holds patent in Botswana. These two patents that I've just highlighted, we started the procedure in 2016, a year after I joined Biust. Our colleagues, take note that a patent, you don't just get patent the minute you apply. In US, if you just go straight to national phase in US, it takes more than 5 years. More than 5 years. But to cut that 5 years, if you go through PCT, which is the Patent Corporation Directive, which is the one that is able to hold your patent for people not to jump into it for up to about 30 to 31 months, it's able to build up because now it will be sent to a certain region to examine it. After they examine, then you enter national phase. Then the examiner in that particular territory will not have much issues because already it has been examined. So they enter a substantive examination, which will not take much time and be able to get patent. And that is why in US, we got our patent last year, meaning within 3 to 4 years, we got our patent. But again, it's not just within 1 year. So, and that 1 year is not that it's just, you are just idle, no. It's back and forth between you and the examiner. Similar to when you submit a journal article, you get reviewer, get a feedback, you respond. That is how also we'll be responding to the examiner. So it's not just you file and it's there, you got granted. I've not heard of any patent I just filed and got granted just like that without first office or second office action. Okay, we said patents is an invention. And the rights that is given to you for that invention, which is a patent, but we need to know what is actually an invention. An invention is a new and inventive solution to a technical problem. It might be entirely new. It might not be entirely new. It might be an incremental tool, a way of solving that problem. So it may be entirely new device, product, method, or process, or may simply be an incremental improvement of a non-product or process. But when you're able to get it right, if, for example, if it's a product, there must be at least one aspect of that product that is new. At least one. So that is when it's even an incremental. So according to the Russian Civil Code, it's saying that an invention is a technical solution in any field related to a product, in particular a device, substance, microorganism, strain, plant or animal cell structure, or method. That is the process of performing an action on a material object using material means, including the use of product or method for a specific product. So it can be a method, it can be a system, it can be both. In our case, we said a system and method for sorting them. So it means that it's a device and also is the method for that device to operate. It can just be a product. It can just be a method. And again, remember when I said a utility model is a younger brother to patent? What I mean here is that for patent, there are three examining things that we need to use to examine it, which is the novelty, the inventive steps, and also its usefulness, which is the industrial applicability. But for utility model, we don't need inventive step. And that is why it's easier to get utility model. If you feel that it's not so new, it's easier to move to utility model. Again, the question is, we actually go into patenting. What are the key reasons to patent invention? If you look at what I put up there, I highlighted some in red. Yes. Those highlighted in red, that is what Biust have stand on for now. Those I do not highlight is what Biust is yet to stand on. Preventing others from patenting is automatic. The day you file and you got patent, no one can patent that anymore. Strengthening market position. Strengthening market position. Yes, because we are already stopping others from patenting this way. So it's a done deal. We're already up there, but we need to explore. And that is why Russia gave us 4 years to enter the market. You see, Russia gave us 4 years to enter the market. And if we are not able to enter the market, they say they are going to lease it to others. So if we're not able to develop the product and enter the market, sorry, we might lose the patent in Russia. So because they are saying they cannot hold it for us forever, even though they granted us the patent. Increasing profit or return on investment, we are yet to get there. Gaining additional income from licensing, we've not licensed out any of our patents yet. Gaining access to technology through cross-licensing, we've not gotten there yet because you can cross-license. Meaning, if you have a technology where I want to benefit, we can negotiate, so that I can use your technology. I give you mine, you use it. So we've not done that. Accessing new markets, we are not there. Reducing the risk of others copying the invention unlawfully, yes. Maybe you have gotten that right. No one can copy. Enhancing the ability to raise funds, we are not yet there. Gaining a powerful tool against imitators and free riders is automatic. No one can. Boosting the corporate image. This is the main where Biust is on. People might think that a patent is just a patent. No. Someone told me the other time when they went to Geneva, I think it's here, Dr. I should not mention her name, Dr. Masisi. When he came back, he said, Prof, do you know how big Biust is and how big you are? I said, no, not me, it's Biust. Because in Geneva, the name that is just being heard is Biust. Zungeru'S, Biust, Zungeru'S. So, what it means is, if we have partners if we have industry want to partner with us, it's easy for us to. And that is why we say the boost the corporate image, business partners, investors, customers we often see patent portfolio as a business partner and raising company profile and market value. I remember Dr. Mongola is here. Dr. Mongola, I think when he was a director, acting director of technology transfer, we applied for Tambo chair. And one of the requirements is that you should be able to show how innovative they are, because part of what is supposed to be used that chair for you must show some of those. And one of the submission was the patent that we filed along with Dr. Mangora in 2016 for the PCT. That was one of the main submissions for the OATAMBO. Yes, sorry, it's not my OATAMBO chair, but it's our patent also that lead to part of the success of that OATAMBO chair. So you can see that having a patent already, it makes you to stand out. Other legal instruments to protect business assets which I've already mentioned, are the trade secret, utility model, industrial design, trademarks, copyright and patent rights, new variety of plants, layout design or topography of integrated circuit, which is mostly used in India. We don't register such in Botswana, but in India they register those. Should you actually apply for a patent? That is another question. Just because you've invented something does not mean that you just quickly apply for patent. There are a lot of things you need to weigh. Is it going to be commercially useful or not? But in our case, we need it because we need to stand out first. Remember, Botswana has no patent until we got the first patent for Botswana, and Biust happened to be the only institution with granted patents in Botswana. What can be patented? An invention. And for the invention to be patented, it must fall under patentable subject matter. It must be new, involving inventive steps, which meaning it should not be obvious, which we talk about. It should be useful, meaning it should be capable of industrial application. And again, the other one is that you must disclose it. You must disclose it. What exactly can you patent? According to the Patent Act, say that it must be a machine, manufacture, process, or composition of matter, which can be patented. But again, it must satisfy these three key things, which is novelty, non-obviousness, and utility or industrial applicability. Now, what can you not patent? Abstraction and scientific theories cannot be patented. Aesthetic creations cannot be patented. Schemes, rules, and methods for performing mental acts, you can't patent it, otherwise people will die because you own it. Substances as they naturally occur in the world, like let's say diamond, gold, and all that, you can't patent them, you don't own them. Because you find it does not mean that it's yours. Inventions, the explosion of which may affect public order, good morals, or public health, you can't patent those. Diagnostic, therapeutic, and surgical method of treating humans or animals, you can't patent those. Plants and animals other than microorganisms also. Computer programs, you can't patent computer programs. But there's a way out of it. If the computer program is coined in such a way that it becomes a method for the system to operate, yes. But in the US, I think there's a debate around it because just coding, everyone can copy the code. Right? But you have to find a way that it becomes a method or a process for which that particular system is going to operate. Now let's look into those three key things before we move into the main topic. Novelty. An invention is new or novel if it does not form part of the prior art. Prior arts refers to all relevant technical knowledge available to the public anywhere in the world prior to first filing date of the relevant patent application. The journal articles, conference proceedings, books, book chapters, patents, any recorded materials, anything in the public domain is a prior art before you file for patent. And that is why I'm for students and staff who normally go to STEM festival, I know I'm not discouraging it. If you find something new and you see that this is an invention, my friends, don't show it off. Limit the way you talk about it. Otherwise, the novelty is off. And you can't patent it anymore. You might be lucky. If it's not recorded by someone, it's okay. But if it's recorded and it's found somewhere when the examiner is searching, that's off. Inventive step or non-obviousness. An invention is considered to involve an inventive step or not to be obvious. When taking into account the prior acts, the invention will not have been obvious to a person skilled in that particular field of technology. Examiners of patents are experts in that area. And most of them, you'll find out that at least they have 2 degrees. Let's say a degree in electrical engineering and a degree in law. Yes. All patent attorneys, they have 2 degrees. At least 2 degrees. If it's in computer engineering, you must go again and do another degree in law. Then, not just doing the degree qualify him to be a patent attorney, he must again pass through the IP training for him now to be called to be able to defend any IP rights that is submitted. I think in Botswana so far we have someone who has a PhD in chemistry, Dr. Bulawayo, yes. He also has a law degree, but I'm not sure if he's a patent attorney. But I know he submits for others because in Botswana, there is no one who has passed through the PCT route yet except myself. The non-obviousness requirement is meant to ensure that patents are granted only for true creative and inventive achievement and not for developments that a person with ordinary skill in the field will easily deduce from what already exists. So what, as I said before, the patent examiners are skilled in the art, and meaning we are looking at someone who is skilled in the arts should have at least a bachelor's degree. At least a bachelor's degree. So if he found out that yes, if I said no, I've invented something, it's just a matter of turning this iPad upside down, you change it. No, that is easily being seen. There should be something which we are going to talk about as we proceed. To be capable of industrial application, meaning it should be useful, right? And you should be able to disclose it, and which is the disclosure requirement. A patent application must disclose the invention in a manner sufficiently declared and complete for it to be carried out by a person skilled in the specific technical field. This was the challenge I was facing with the Chinese guys, because I use absorption coefficient in the diamond sorting. We were back and forth. They said absorption coefficient is not found anywhere. It has not been in any journal and all that. But I searched for it and I have to give it to them that was written in 1981. Because they said they can't produce this if they followed all this process. Okay, we're back and forth until I get it out. It clears all the novelty, inventive step and all that, but because they said it's not sufficiently disclosed, patent cannot be granted to us. So meaning if you satisfy those 3 requirements, it's not still okay, as long as the person skilled in the art say that he can't follow all the procedure and come up with the machine. So no, you can't be granted that patent. So rights granted under patents are rights not for freedom to use, they are rights to exclude. So let's take note so that you don't monopolize the work. Now there are 2 key players in the patent, the inventor and the owner. But who is the inventor? The inventor is a person who conceived the invention, and the person or company that files the patent application is the applicant, holder or owner of the patent. So I can be an inventor, but I'm not the owner. If I'm employed by someone and there's rules guiding my employment contract, that yes, if I come up with something during the time of my employment contract, that thing belongs to that organization. It's clear in the Botswana IP Act, which already is saying that anything that is produced during your tenure of work, it automatically belongs to that particular company. While in some cases, the inventor may also be the applicant, the two are often different entities. The applicant is often the company or research institute that employs the inventor. But there is another way to say, if an employee, where an invention is made in execution of the contract of employment, the rights to the patent shall, in the absence of any agreement to the contrary, belong to the employer. But if there's an agreement before that, then it becomes to the inventor. Right? And you can find that in section 10.4 of the Botswana IP Act 2010. In some cases, if there is no employment agreement, the inventor may retain the right to exploit the invention, but the employer can serve as a shopwright, meaning can use it in-house, but not the owner. We have others which are independent contractors, and those independent contractors, as if there is nothing written in black and white, they own the patent. We have also joint inventors. In my case, you see all the patents, we have joint inventors. When more than one person contributes in significant ways to the conception of the invention, they must be treated as joint inventors. Take note of that bold, significant ways to the conception. If the joint inventors are also the applicants, the patent will be granted to them jointly. Though different countries have different rules as well. How to obtain a patent? Sorry, I'm moving a bit slow. The other ones are not clear. After how to obtain a patent, patenting abroad, then we move into our patents. I needed people to be carried along on the steps and what is needed, so that I could see that SIPA have put it in their public domain, both Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere, share it with IP for Africa. So I need to also enlighten colleagues on the journey that I embarked on since 2016. How do you obtain a patent? Now, it starts with the inventor. As an inventor, you need to do some key things for you to be able to be granted patent. When you start noticing something within the lab, or when you are doing some experiments as a new thing, you need to document. Write an invention note. Before writing invention note. When you keep writing an invention note, remember I said when the idea is in you, you can't patent an idea until you put it down. So write an invention note, identify what you've invented, find prior art, make you go through search prior art. If after prior art you see that those are they're already in the public domain, go back again and identify what you invented. If after going through that cycle, you couldn't find what you invented, sorry, you don't need to submit any invention disclosure to my boss, Director TT. That's the research colleague, you don't need to come to you. After going through that loop, it's not able to come out from the loop. So if you manage to come out of the loop, you now need to file and submit an invention disclosure to the office that is given the rights for you to disclose. In Biust, the technology transfer office, you need to disclose. They should have a form for you to disclose to them. Don't disclose anything to anyone without signing the disclosure form. Even if it's a VC, don't disclose to him. He must sign that disclosure form. Otherwise, if you get to him, he might just write it somewhere. Someone will pick it, and it's gone. Nobody's off. So, but if you sign that disclosure form, you are binded. So after disclosure form, you review patent application before you file for patent as an inventor. Remember, when you have to guide the TT office as well, because they are not knowledgeable in your work. The disclosure form will tell what you've invented, who are the inventor, other steps, other things, the drawings and whatever you have to give to them and orders for them to facilitate the patent application. Now, we are talking about the prior art. The prior art search generally is the first step. And here I'm saying that the first step is to conduct a prior art search. We check patent and non-patent literature, including technical and scientific terms, conferences, proceedings, theses, website, company brochures, etc., to see if there's anything already published that will make the invention not novel and therefore unpatentable. And that is why I said, don't disclose anything, even if it's by mere talking to someone. If that person recorded it and put it in his Facebook or wherever, and it's found, the novelty is gone. Patent information is a unique source of organized technical information where granted patent and published patent applications are made available by patent offices. In our case, the CPA. Most national patent offices also offer patent search service for a fee. WIPO offers free online access to some databases. You can go to patent scope, search, and you're able to see a lot of patent documents. Colleagues, let's know that patent search or prior art search is not an easy job. It is not easy to perform a high quality patent search. Most companies, especially like Biust, VTT office, they need to have an expert to do that work because those experts should be able to do that search and give a report to say whether this is okay to proceed or not to proceed so that we don't waste our money. Okay. After prior art search has been done, it will now be decided whether to continue or not. Okay. Now, the structure of a patent application. A patent application has this structure. The request, which is normally a form. If it's for CIPA, CIPA will give you a form to fill, which is a form, and you just write application to the registrar. There's a description, claims, drawings, and abstract. I said, see example. For this, let me pull down this guy so that I'll give you an example. This is our patent documents. These are patent documents. In the front page, it carries all the information about the patent, who owns the patent, who are the inventor, who is the assignee, other details, even with the examiner, details will be there. The person who examined the patent also, his name will be there. The primary examiner in this case was Michael MC Watt. I can't pronounce his name because I know I was in touch with Kumar, who is the assistant examiner, because there's a point. Sometimes, if you don't agree, you might have to call. It's one-on-one. So until everything is sorted out. So an abstract is one of the part which describes the system, though I say description, but there are other things that also are needed. You look at that machine, your abstract will tell us details about the system. Okay, colleagues, researchers, you know, when you are published, when you are writing an article, you have an abstract, you have introduction, problem statement, you go into literature review, the details of the work itself, and all that. But it's similar to the journal. It's a bit different from the journal, but if you're able to put it in the journal form, your patent attorney will be able to collect information from it. But the abstract here is a bit different from the abstract of your journal. This abstract tells the system itself. You see, in the abstract, I say a system for sorting of diamond is provided. The system comprises a conveyor system, which includes a conveyor belt to transport material sample, which includes diamonds, with other things around diamond. Further, the system comprises an X-ray box configured to fire X-rays at the material sample. And if you look at this system, I need to describe this system in summary. Okay, the conveyor system, the X-ray generator, X-ray source to fire X-ray on the system that is being conveyed on the conveyor belt. There are two detectors, detector 1 and 2, which is the XRT detector, XRA detector, to be able to measure what is actually being detected and inform the controller and that is the processor to be able to determine whether it's a diamond or not, which depends on what we program the system with. Of course, you must have a baseline for the system to be able to detect. And that is why your abstract should be able to tell a brief summary of what the system is all about. So after the abstract, you have the diagrams. The diagrams, then you give a summary of the invention. And in this case, you see, we said the field of invention, we stated the background of the invention, which indirectly is the problem statement. What are out there? What did you come up with? You must tell the audience this part. After you say that, and if you see here, we give out a brief statement program, and we are now saying that there are two systems that are currently involved. That is the XRT and XRL. And the big players in those regions are the Biust technology, which is XRT and XRL, the Biust, which also have XRT and XRL, and we also have, those are some of them. And but those systems are based on carbon signature using the atomic density as a detection method. Our case, we use the absorption coefficient. We don't use this method, and that is one key in ours. And each of the XRT and XRL, they're able to detect diamond in a certain size, which we also define also in the program statement. And we gave a summary of the invention. Then, after the summary, then we now go into the brief description of the drawings, which are part of the description. Then you give a detailed description of the invention. Now, this is where you need to give details of the invention. If the examiner found it wanting in a way that is not able to produce the system using your description, it can still reject it, even if it meets the three requirements. So now that depends on the examiner, who now we are saying is the one skilled in the art. Remember, it's between you and him, and he is the expert at that time. So, sorry, I won't be able to go through. It's a lengthy document with a lot of jargons. For those that are not in science and technology, right? They will say it's just jargons. So, this is the document which we submitted for them to grant us patent. We were able to look at the program of the XRT, XRI, which I will still explain later. And looking at that, we said, fine, if XRT can store diamonds within diamonds of 10 mm and above, and then the XRL can only detect diamond for diamonds up to 32 mm. Now, what is the issue? One, XRT has what we call poor contrast, and XRL has the issue of self-absorption. Now, how do you deal with these two problems? And that is where we came in. The first model, which I will still talk about later. Sorry, the document is too lengthy, but you can find it in the public domain under patent scope, or you can find it out there. So I can't go through it because it's lengthy. Okay. But if you need anything, at the end of the lecture, I've also put it out, my details. You can contact me and I will take you through. So you can see there's a description, the claims. The claims is what makes the document a legal document. Because the way they write it, it's in legal term. So even if you are good, if you are not in that area, and that is why when I was saying the patent attorney has 2 degrees minimum. Okay, so they are able to help you out. I think for me, I've only managed to draft 1 patent. Now, others I used to consult, but the last one, which I've not disclosed, I think I have one with one of my colleagues. I don't want to mention his name. Already, I think 2 have already been drafted, but I've not disclosed them yet. because, okay, the topic for another day. Cost of patenting. That is another thing we should look into. There are costs associated with performing a prior art search. Remember I said, if you are not good in search, even if you are good, you still need someone to help out. There's a high cost in prior art search, official filing fee. The bulk of the cost is on the third one, patent agent / attorney. This is where you are going to, because these guys charge per hour. They charge per hour. So if they spend 5 hours on your work and their hourly rate is 3,000, so if it's 10 hours, that is 30,000. They charge per hour. And again, it's not just charging for filing. Remember, you'll be back and forth with the examiner, and you don't interact directly with the examiner. If it's Botswana, I file that on my own. But if it's outside Botswana region, if I'm going to South Africa, a patent attorney in Botswana cannot have a patent attorney in South Africa. No. A patent attorney in Botswana cannot have a patent attorney in US. No. It's territorial. So it means that if I have a patent attorney, Botswana before cannot receive PCT application. So we need to go through South Africa. So we have a patent attorney in South Africa who help us with the legalities. He also has a patent attorney in US who deal with our application in US, meaning we have two costs. Patent attorney in South Africa, which will charge us his own hourly rate. Patent attorney in US, which will charge us his own hourly rate. And it's non negotiable. You can't negotiate. They have their rates. So you find that just filing, you might even spend 50,000 for just patent attorney. Now, anytime you are responding to examiner, you still need to pass through the same route. Like in China, I couldn't decode what they said because it's written in Chinese. Someone had to translate. I have to pay for the translation. When I write in English, I send it. The person has to translate it back to Chinese. I have to pay. So there's a lot of charges in between, which are hidden. So you can't determine the cost of patent just at the start because you don't know the prosecution process as it proceeds. Maintenance or renewal fees is constant. You know those ones. Relevant foreign filing fees, they also differ. If you enter PCT and you are now going to national fees, entering some regions. I think in our case, when we're entering 8 countries, we spend around 270,000 to enter those regions. So apart from now the fees that we're paying to patent attorney. I know BIH were saying that I spent too much money on patents. Because I gave them 100 or something. Now they say I spent around 250. It doesn't go to the hearing. It went to patent prosecution. Relevant foreign filing fees, deposit of microorganism or biological material, those are the things that you also need to look into. Timing of patent application, reason for filing early because you don't want someone to write on it. But again, if you file too early, there's also a catch. The catch is that maybe during experiment, you find something new and you've already filed. You can add it to it on the description. That is another issue. Confidentiality prior to filing. You can keep your things confidential, but you can disclose as long as someone signed that disclosure form. Those are what I just explained here. I don't need to go through. Professional support. You need professional support in preparing filing application, which I've already mentioned, because you are not expert in that area. And most laws require foreign applicants to be represented by a registered patent attorney who is resident in that country. And that is what I mentioned before. You can't go there. Now, the examiner, that is another key player in the patent application. The examiner determines when you should be granted or not until he's satisfied. He is the one skilled in the art. Right? You send an application to US PTO, pre-examination happening. Examiner will either say it should be allowed or not. Colleagues, when you receive the rejection, does not mean that that patent application is not good. It has some things which you need to address with the patent examiner. You might have rejection 1, rejection 2, address those issues. why you should either be allowed to go in or not. If finally you were not allowed, you can still appeal. You can appeal to a high court. It's a bigger case. Yes, you can appeal. All right. Before we go into the patent document itself, what are the timeline for patent examination? As an inventor, you fill all your parts, you file for patent application. Within 18 months, your patent application is going to be published. Within 18 months, it's going to be published. Okay, but before that, you will receive the pre or preliminary rejection. You need to respond to the examiner before even the publication. Why your patent is rejected or why it cannot be granted, it will be clear. The examiner will tell you. Maybe it's not clear, maybe the description is not clear, or no new or inventiveness in it, or it does not belong to a patentable category. Maybe it's a program, computer program, so you can patent. You can respond in two ways. You can either amend the claims to clarify meanings or to emphasize novelty or inventive step, or you can add new claims at the preliminary rejection, or you can just argue. In most cases, I just argue. I don't add anything. The only one I added was the one for China, who was pushing me back and forth. I've never heard of third office action. Normally, after second office action, it's either granted or rejected. But in China, we got third office action, which I still have to respond. So after the second office, after the second rejection, which is normally the final rejection, it will not be allowed. Okay, so if it's allowed, then you pay fee. In our case, just like in China, we receive notice of allowance. It's for all to pay fee. How much is it? 8,000. Have you paid? You've not paid. Okay. Patenting abroad. Patenting abroad. Apart from your region, you have the national route, regional route, or international route. Again, I put that clause there. There is no such thing as international patent, colleagues. There is no international patent. But you can file international application to protect the invention. Within 30 to 31 months, which will allow you to decide which region to enter to get protected. Okay? So priority date is used for entering those regions, and the date for the first application for a given invention is called the priority date. Any subsequent application in other countries filed within 12 months of that date will benefit from this priority date. So if you're in Botswana, you can file local, national, you can just file Botswana application, you start benefiting the priority date. So that if someone searched and they found it is within 12 months, it's fine. Okay? Another route for you to escape is quickly move to PCT so that you have up to 30 to 31 months place, so that you're able to decide where to enter. So PCT is an international treaty with more than 150 contracting states. When you file, you have that grace of protecting your work within 150 countries. The PCT makes it possible to seek patent protection for an invention simultaneously in a large number of countries by filing a single international patent application, but not international patent. It's international patent application, instead of filing several separate national or regional patent applications. The granting of patent remains under the control of the national or regional patent office in what is called national phase. So after the PCT application, within the 30 to 31 months, you must enter the national phase. If you fail to enter the national phase, you will not be allowed to enter the national phase. But some you can appeal and pay. In our case, colleagues, don't do it. We managed to appeal to the registrar of intellectual property in Botswana, and we managed to succeed. And that is why we got the other two granted patents. Otherwise, we've already passed the 31 months. Okay? But you have to justify why you were not able to enter the national phase within that time phase. Now we move into the Biust patent on method and system for sorting of diamonds and others. The problem is, what are the problems with the system out there that we found what researching on? Generally, sorting is a classification base, and you need to classify what we found, either diamonds or not diamonds, in those particles that will be passing through that tubes. How do you classify? You can either be looking at them, picking, or use the machine. You see that guy that's trying to look. Is it diamond or not diamond? But then, there are business perspective of this sorting, and there is technology perspective. In the business perspective, we are actually interested in revenue, profit maximization. And for you to maximize profit, you need a high throughput with high speed. And in the technology aspect, processing speed is also needed for high efficiency. However, in the technology perspective, there are two technologies already in the market, which is X-ray luminescence or X-ray fluorescence sensor-based sorting, which has been used for many years. The other one is X-ray transmission sensor-based, which is just new adoption. And during our research, Dr. Alex Modise is not here. When he joined Biust in 2018 for his master's, I had this idea of underground wireless sensor. Colleagues, I'm an associate professor of electronics and sensor systems. So most of my work revolves around electronics and sensor systems. So someone is looking. I'm still associate professor, my friend. These are seasonal contagious. Okay. In the technology space, we have a problem within X-ray transmission and X-ray luminescence. Now we adopt the sensor-based sorting, which of course will normally sense the physical properties of the material within what we are actually trying to sort, which is normally a mixture of gravel and diamonds. Okay, and then in this we look at the properties, and just as I said, for the other technology they use a different approach. Ours, which I'll tell you what we use as we proceed. So decision is being made whether it's either diamond based on the processing, and those processors, you need to program them to have a baseline of what is diamond for the system to detect, or what is not diamond after you pass the diamond in the conveyor. Right? So you find diamonds in one side, waste in one side. That is a decision making by the system that is being programmed to whether detect whether it's a diamond or not. Just as I said, there are big players in this field. The Tamura, the Bosberg, and the Stena. The Tamura is X-ray based transmission technology, which is just new in the market. X-ray transmission and X-ray luminescence is being used by the Bosberg and the Stena as well. But then, in the space, the X-ray transmission, which is the non-destructive testing application, and also mineral sorting application, which we are able to sort a lot of minerals. Diamonds included coal, copper, tungsten, and powder. Colleagues, our diamond sorter is not just for diamond, it's a secret. Yes, we narrow it to diamond, but we can reprogram it to sense other minerals. So if diamond is not functional, we reprogram it because it's our invention. Okay? We're not going to change the system. We're going to change the method. So in this space, the X-ray transmission is able to solve diamond that are greater than 10 mm. Whereas in the older machine, which is the X-ray luminescence or X-ray fluorescent machines, they sort diamonds below 32 mm. Now, what is the issue? The problem at hand is that the X-ray sorting experience challenge of poor contrast for particles below what they can sort, which is 10 mm. Whereas the X-ray luminescence or X-ray fluorescence have what we call self-absorption, because when this X-ray bombards the system, they scatter, right? These are either absorbed or retransmitted in the process. So the X-ray fluorescent have the challenge of the self-absorption of particles larger than the 32 mm. So we need to deal with these two issues. And again, even if you want to combine the two issues, they still have those two issues. You want to combine the two machines. At the moment, each diamond sorter costs no less than 13 million over. Yes, 13 million. So if you're going to combine the two sorting machines, and imagine 20-something million. So that is not cost effective. So all of the above leads to poor classification when other techniques is being applied to the scope of the size limits, leading to poor performance and loss of efficiency and revenue, because now you need two machines. You want to sort. You don't need that. You don't have so much money. Now, the main objective is for us to deal with the poor contrast and self-absorption. So our first approach with my student, Dr. Ernest Modise, who, when he started, he was the manager engineering at Lukara. He's a technical expert, practical technical expert. I have a theoretical background. When he came, I gave him a problem and asked him which area is he working. He told me. Then I loaded him with a lot of theories. The first few months he ran away. It's online. But I have to catch him. That is why none of my students ever, none of my postgraduate students ever leave the system. I won't allow you to leave. BC mentioned that I graduated 3. This is there's a bit of error. I graduated 4 PhD last year. Some of my PhD are here. Can you stand up? Some of my PhD students are here. If you are here, can you stand up? Those that I graduated last year. Dr. Others are not here. They are working. They are big guys already. I know I've been mentoring this young man from his year 2. Stand up, let them see you up there. He's coming up with PhD. He's a permanent staff of Biust. Right from his year 2, I've been mentoring him. He's one of the inventors for the smart switching system. Here we try to deal with sorting, and you can see after our process, we managed to detect a diamond of good qualities. I will explain the machine again as we proceed. So here, these two programs we're able to sort them out from what I showed you the other time on the description. We are looking at absorption coefficient after we model the system. So that we're able to deal with the poor contrast and the self-absorption, which we managed to deal with via modeling. After modeling, we simulate the system, and that is when we are sure that this system is good to go. We refuse to disclose. We didn't disclose it to anyone. In the lab, we modeled mathematically, system was okay, we simulate the system runs perfectly, we tabulate, we put a lot of data in the system, and we're able to have 100% detection. So the system was perfect, and now we put down our patent document. We start describing the system, and that is where you saw all those diagrams before we were able to file for patent. In the smart switching system, when we file for patent, in that case, we're also on the prototype because we got around 190,000 from Biust. We managed to get a prototype, but for this guy, it's too expensive. You can't. You need people to help out. Just submission, one German sorter costs 12 to 13 million. We get it from. But BIH were able to give us 3.8 million. BIH, if you are online, can you raise up your hand? Thank you so much for sponsoring the project. We appreciate you. We are still on. And the prototype of the project at this stage, our colleagues, we finished detailed design of the system. We've got the last quotation for parts. The parts that was pending, that was making us to progress before, we were told that it will be shipped on the 11th of April from US because they need to manufacture as we order. The finance has been disturbing. We ordered for it in August last year. They have to produce it before the ship, and now they say they are shipping it, which is a monoblock. It's 3-in-1. It has the power supply, the source, and the generator, which all are in because the X-ray tube is inside. So all the machines we're able to. I hope we should be able to finish assembling and testing this machine in 3 to 4 months VC. If there's no barrier, procurement process, approval process, if all are shortened, in the next 3 to 4 months, the machine should be up running in Biust. The details of the technical jargons which I've already put out that time, you have it there in the public domain. Okay? Yeah, so that I don't take too much time on it. The prototype of the smart switching system, which is already here under the Biust off-grid secure smart house. Our colleagues have already told you what we've invented. We're able to deal with the poor contrast, self-absorption, and not using the carbon property, atomic density. We use absorption coefficient to determine either diamonds or not diamonds. That makes it different from what is out there, right? So on the smart switching system, what did we invent? Because just as I mentioned before, you need to show what you invented. So let me take us, this I've already explained everything about the patents. So if I'm going to explain the technical jargons, I don't know. Now, on the electrical switching system for video installation, which I say it holds a patent in Botswana. In the prior art, we have switchboard and the load appliances. Switchboard and the load appliances were in existence. But then there was no control of who switch on or switch off, or who control everything in the house, and other functionalities, though then that, but our main contribution here is access control subsystem before the switchboard and slave control subsystem before the load appliances. This was our contribution to the system. You must have at least one contribution to that particular object. And here I explain each of them. Engineer John, can you stand up again? Is another brain behind this one as well. I've been working with him from year 2 when he was in year 2 student. We started working on it when he was in year 3. There is a particular subject which I teach, electronic circuit design analysis. That is where I challenge my students. I give them assignments and mentor them from year 3. All year 3 students are here. They're all here. Yeah, because they need to be here. It's part of the movie. Last year, I made sure that the CIPA came to even take them through the IP system. So this year, if they don't have that opportunity, I have to take them through. CIPA said, no, Zungeru, we've empowered you enough to continue, because they normally invite me to give talk in other places, Nigeria and other, which I normally do. Though I've not informed VC, but it was virtual, so I didn't travel. So the access control subsystem, colleagues, is what is here, which I just projected. This is where we are. The access control subsystem has a master switch, a master controller, and a keyboard, where you are able to interact with everything within the house in one place. You don't need to go to your geyser to switch on or switch off. No. One place you interact with everything, right? And also the slave control for the device as well. You have the transmission and all that is the sensor, the slave controller, and also the slave switch before the load as well. So even if you are away, you are still able to control your devices outside your region. Just that the system is off. John made a mistake. No, is it John or is it me? Or is it Lucia? I don't know who made that mistake. We wanted to change the power supply. When we switched it on, we did not adjust the voltage that was going and that was supposed to be supplying the ESP32, which is a microcontroller with an enhanced ability to communicate. So now the power supply was over, and it bought all our 6 ESP32. Though we can remove the power supply, the power, the voltage regulator, but to solder it back is going to be messy. So because it's not expensive, as John said, around 200-300 puller per each. Lucia says she have already ordered, so it's okay. So we're just waiting to put it up. Otherwise, I could have control. Normally, when I'm at home, I'm able to see the smart house, control everything in the smart house, see who passed around the smart house. Even if I travel, I'm able to see anything around that place. Who passed around the smart house, I'm able to see. So you don't near there, I'm able to see you. So I record everything around the smart house. Everything around it, I record it. Since 2019, I've been doing that. So that's my house, and that is why when the BSc came, they look at it, they say we should implement it in the new BSc houses. We have a letter of intent already, but what we told them is that we can't implement it as it is. We need to modify it to be up to industrial standard. And that is why we put it on hold. Otherwise, that is good to go. So this is just a layout of that smart house here, that smart house colleague, the smart hub. We have the smart hub access ports, which has the Wi-Fi modules. Those Wi-Fi's is what I said now, will damage ESP32. They communicate wirelessly to all the socket and switches. Now, those socket and switches, this is how they are. Each of this switch, this is how they are. We design the circuitry in-house. We have our PCB machine, which my year 3, they're about to pass through the process. I make sure that they're able to design and print circuit on printed circuit board before they finish their year 3. And that is what I've been coaching them since 2016. Yeah. The first step said they were about 260 something. How many were you joining? You were about 170 or thereabout, but now the population have reduced. But when it started, about 268 students. So, and that was make us different with UB, I guess. Because I remember one of the UB students said, our year 3 students are able to print their circuit on printed circuit board, but their master student can't. Sorry. UB, I hope you are not online. Okay, colleagues, this is what is obtainable in our smart house. The smart switching system, the smart switch, and the smart switch board. It's in the smart house, and all are designed in-house. So the only thing is just the casing. The casing is what we are going to use a 3D. Mangala, where's our 3D machine? Okay, the 3D printers is what I think we might be needing and all that. So, colleagues, my presentation is just to take us through the process, and the other one is the farmyard access control system. What we invented there is nothing but the wireless sensor system, which is able to communicate with the enclosure so that we're able to see our animals, count our animals, and display it even outside Botswana or wherever you are. So I think also VC has explained that area as well, but the document is also up there in the public domain. So this is the farmyard access control system with an enclosure having livestock in it. There is a gate which counts number of cattle that goes in and get out of the enclosure, and not only display it locally, it's also able to display it wherever you are. It depends on the access to the route to access the enclosure. So we have what helps us with that, which is the visual sensor network with a remote display, where you're able to see how many cattle who enter as well, because we have visual sensor system around the enclosure as well, to know whether your uncle came to steal one of the cattle. I'm able to see and pinpoint, and I'm able to see up to a certain distance using LoRa, which we are going to implement in the system to know if our cattle is within the range of around 25 kilometers or thereabout, for us to be able to detect where they are. If we also tag them with sensors, so that we're able to track their location. So that is the major contribution of this guy. What kills one of the novelty then, colleagues, that is why I said don't record. The examiner found a recorded version of movement of kettle, which I couldn't even disclose because it was not even in English. It was in German. Someone has to interpret the language for me to understand what is even written in that recorded version. So that is why I said, don't even record anything, even if it's in your own language, because there is a language detector which is able to detect which language and translate. So the examiners have that for them to really translate and know what is in there. Before I finish my presentation, I need to acknowledge a few colleagues who have moved with me on this journey. Before that, again, let me also show us where we are. The full machine design. The full machine design of how our machine will look like is this, also by Biust, Botswana Innovation Fund. Our machine will look like this because the detailed design is done. The last quotation for the parts we've received yesterday, and I think we're going to DVC for either approval or rejection. He is the best in that area. Then before the procurement, we either help out to procure the parts. So these are just how our machine will look like. Sorry, I have to just be shifting it so that it's going to take time for it to show us the inside and outside details of the machine. But all testing has been done. We've simulated the system as well. And unfortunately, we couldn't get local suppliers to help out. All the quotation will be something no local supplier is able to. So we have to, and that was what also delayed. We have to look out to South Africa. So most of our suppliers are from South Africa. That becomes a big challenge. Another challenge we encountered during the process is the big guys who manufacture some of the X-ray sources refuse to even let us to even get quotation. We have to pass through training. And then I managed to found a conference in Greece where I have to combine 3 things in one. And in that conference, all the people, all those big companies that manufacture all those parts were in that particular conference. So we met there, and that is where we were able to chat, show them what we're able to do, and they were convinced, and that is where they were able to release quotation. In fact, they were not even reply to our email. So, colleagues, we managed to deal with that, and that is why we are where we are today. So where we are, few colleagues, if I don't mention you, don't be angry. It's not that you don't contribute. My wife, number one. It's actually Mutala and the kids, Nafaida, and Mutala. I've never given them vacation. This is for the past 10 years. The reason being that all my vacation are used for this year. So I promised them that very soon I will take them out for vacation. They don't know where is after Palate, don't know anywhere. So I think I owe them a vacation soon. And I think VC will sponsor it. The Biust management team headed by VC, Professor Tutorial, DVC here in that region where I'm doing my research is also here. Other DVC online, I can see Professor Shaman online, and his acting is also here. The finance group, they've been helping out colleagues. I acknowledge them. You DVC, Professor Norris, are you there? Okay, it was the DVC research when we started. It was so helpful and it's still helping even at the moment. SIPA patent examiner, Mr. Qualitos, before he became a SIPA examiner, the journey started with him in 2016, and Mr. Cabroni, the journey started with them in 2016. It has been tedious. SIPA management team, Dr. Ramapoy, Timothy, and Malibu. I believe you are there because I can see that you want to submit all the information in your website. And LinkedIn, I'm not in in Facebook, but someone sent to me. I disconnect Facebook for a very long time. BIF management team, for your support, 3.8 million. We appreciate you, though we are not able to finish everything, we need more funding, we'll come back to you. Dr. Subuku say he's going to assist with that. My students, if you are here, Mr. Joanna, Dr. Anas Modise, Dr. Lumisani, Dr. Lucia, Dr. Ruklu, Dr. Dauda, if you are here, stand up once more for them to notice you. You've been doing a very good job. Stand up once more. Community are my pillars. Without them, I can't stand here. They are my pillars. And I appreciate them. I remember that Joanna also, similar to my kids, Joanna only started having Xmas just last year. His mother has to call me one time to say, my son said, you say you didn't go for Xmas. I said, yes, because we're in the lab, along with me, I'm in the lab. All my kids were in the same lab. I know in deciding also one time was in lab with my kids. All my friends, I can see Onalena is there, and others who I will not mention, they are all here. Dr. Modise, you are there. Dr. Mangwala, I've mentioned him several times. Prof. Yaya, Prof. Ravi, thank you all for all your support. You staff and students, especially my year 3 students, you are my strength. Let me thank you once more. For former past and present government, especially the past government, also they've been so supportive. The new government also is so supportive. I thank you so much. General public who are online, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you. Biust management appreciate you. Biust student appreciate you. Myself and others, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And my lecture ends. And there will be questions, and I will now be waiting for questions from the auditorium and also those who join online, so that we'll be able to address some of the questions. I forgot the version that I posted here. The other version I gave out my email address. If you know my name, Zungeru, just add m@biust.ac.bw. Alternate email is zungeru@mit.edu. So those are the 2 emails that are active for me. Sorry, I'm at MIT a long time, and the email is still active because I have to support yearly on what I'm doing. Otherwise, the email will be safe. So I have to keep the email ongoing since 2014. So colleagues, question, I'm here. Those online, I'm here for questions. Anything you need on patenting, please ask me. As far as Bosala is concerned, I've been asked several times to give talk on patents abroad and in-house, because of the fact that we started the journey in 2016. So I'm not the only expert. I have colleagues here who are also experts, just that I lead, because I'm the one always engaged with the examiners and all that. Okay, question. I know Dr. Emmanuel probably want to ask question. There's a student there who wants to ask question. Who is going to control, or who is just to answer? We'll just wait.
I think questions can come through. Let's see by hand. One, yeah, go ahead. Maybe you should, maybe those who ask questions may just say their name also and what they do, the course that you are doing, your check, something like that.
My name is Thabang Poifo. I'm one of Professor Zungeru'S study student. So my question is related to the absorption coefficient. You mentioned that the patent authorities at China were giving you a bit of a problem concerning your use of the absorption coefficient, and how you mentioned something about not being in prior act, something like that. Could you clarify on the issue again?
Okay, what I mean is that what the other guys, which are the guys which I was mentioning, the Goldberg the Biust technologies. Oh, I know that one. Normally, those ones you find that they use what you call the atomic density for those atoms. But in our case, remember that these X-rays, which is being generated from the source, it bombards those particles that are on the conveyor belt, and these are either scattered or absorbed. Now, we now have to calculate the absorption coefficient, okay, because we have two X-ray sensors, which are the X-ray detectors. That is the X-ray XRT and XRL. So each of them now, we use it to collect after the bombardment on this particular particles that are on the conveyor belt. Then we're able to calculate the absorption coefficient of the material. And that will help to determine whether it's a diamond or it's not a diamond, apart from what the atomic density that has been used. So why I say give us a bit of challenge, because the examiner is not able to find out what exactly it is. But even after demonstration, looking at the formulas and all that, he said, how is he sure? Okay, so which we have to demonstrate, find relevant document that explain absorption coefficient as well, for the examiner to understand more better and be able to get out of it. And the examiner who gave us that problem was the China examiner, but he managed to get out of it.
So basically, what you're saying is that the Chinese examiner wasn't aware about the absorption coefficient. You had to provide literatures to back up the yes. Okay, thank you, sir.
Prof, there's a question from Prof. Yourself, Prof, yes.
First, I want to say thank you for the great talk. It was very interesting, I believe, for everyone. And then my questions are, you said that the biggest part of the fees goes to the lawyers, to the attorneys, patent attorneys. But now you have some experience how to formulate everything, how to deal with them. In your next patent, which I'm sure it's coming soon, and next, will you be able to reduce these fees a little bit using smart strategy with the attorney and so on? In other words, you have now it's like a game which you have two players. You are player number one.
Yes, I remember our article that we just published. We can explain more. It's okay. It's my co-researcher, so it's already describing one of our articles that we just published. Okay.
And the other player is the attorney, and you're shooting at each other. He's shooting to you as bills. Will you be able to reduce these bills the second time and the third time and so on? And I have another question.
Yes. The two that we just finished drafting, I don't want to mention the other name because we've not disclosed it yet. I drafted it on my own. And I asked my friend in CPAC to look at it. Everything is perfect. Even the last one we drafted, when I sent it to the patent attorney in South Africa, he only made some minor adjustments. But these ones that I finished, I drafted them from scratch myself. So I'm able to reduce the cost because you spend no less than 25 to 50,000 for drafting. Yes. If it's a complex system, you spend almost 50,000 for drafting. So that I'm able to reduce that. And also, not only the drafting, even when you receive rejection 1, rejection 2, you need to address the comment. You need to know the document, you need to know the legality because it's a registration process which you need to know what to do and you need to consult those attorneys. So for some time now, I don't do much consultation because I'm able to understand what to do. So most of the costs have been reduced, which in the next of my application, like the ones I file locally here, I do not use any agent. I file them directly on when I know the procedure. So I did not incur anything here. The only thing I incurred was just 300 food, and that's it. Local application. So I'm able to do that on my own. Maybe I'm going to set up a side hustle this thing, but you don't ask me. But I'm just joking. Okay. Yes, I'm able to reduce that cost.
And a second question. And that's it.
You have a second question, Prof.
So I've heard that Harare, Zimbabwe, functions like a capital of the
Aripo,
yeah.
African Regional Patent Office.
Yeah, that's right. So in other words, if you patent something with them, it becomes patented in all countries in Africa or 90% of the country. Have you done something like
Yes,
that?
we have one of our patents that is already granted and with Aripo, but then it's not automatic. You need to design it, how many countries you want it to cover, because there's a cost. If you design it all the country within the Aripo, you incur more cost. For us, we only take 12 that we know that diamond is applicable in those states. We didn't take all. South Africa is not in Aripo, Nigeria is not in Aripo. So those one, if you need to file for patent, you need to file individual. Like South Africa will file individual. Nigeria are not into diamonds, so there's no need to waste money. So you have to look into where. So, but for Aripo, yes, we got the diamond sorter is already patented in Aripo, which cover also Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, and other about 12 countries are all covered within that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
One day.
One year, there's one we first. Oh, this is my student. This is my student. This is my student, my friend.
And let's see here so that I can make this section proper. Let me take you there, then you take one student here.
Prof, thank you for your presentation. My question goes this way. We can see that the research has been ongoing since 2016. I need a clarification on this. From your explanation, there's a lot of secrets that are kept on ground. So my question is, how were you publishing articles on journal during this time within the same area of research? And if you did, how were you able to conceal major information without displaying it?
Thank you so much, Prof. I think that is why this lecture is my lecture. I didn't say a lot of things. I need people to ask questions. Okay. On the diamond sorter, I nearly made a mistake until my supervisor, who is an Indian, it's in India. Oh, I forgot to even acknowledge him, Professor SRS Prabhahara. When I started the journey, he gave me 18,000 kuna. When I was not able to pay, that time we were not having money, he helped me to pay those that were assisting me in India with his money. I wanted to give it back to him, say, no, you are still my student. So I'm just trying to say there are money which are not accounted for, colleagues. There are a lot of money that I spend, even my personal money and all that. So he said, when I first submitted something, he also put me through because I was still starting. We published an article in Journal of, we published one in IEEE Access, IEEE Photonics, where most of the work goes. We only made a mistake in submitting to IEEE Photonics, even though we already filed for patent. One of another little invention that came up when I was doing research. If Asmin had put it in the journal that I published even after filing, I shouldn't have not made the Chinese patent. The reason being that in part of the invention will have been disclosed in that journal. And that was when my professor said, Adam, until you finish with the legality, don't add new invention to any paper. Publish only what you've already filed for patent. So that was why I removed that And luckily, if I mean I put it in that paper, and this patent will not go through because one of the addition was supposed to be in that publication. So even if you've already filed for patent, you can publish after you are filed. But don't add new thing to that article, because if the prosecution is still ongoing, you never know what the examiner is going to query, that you need to respond by amending or to add new claims. And now if you need to add that new claim to help you to get granted, and it's already published in your article, you are gone. So don't add new things to anything you're going to publish. Publish only things that you've already filed for patent. Even if that idea comes, don't put it, because you don't know what will happen during the prosecution process. It's a case like a court case. Someone is there defending your case. When you apply, someone is there. So because you are not a lawyer. Question answer, sir?
So what you're saying in essence is that you should not publish in that area until you file for a patent.
Yes.
Okay.
Until you file for patent, not publish.
In a situation we academians, we are demanded to publish and publish and publish. So will you conceal your information and not because you wanted to? So
I would say, you know, when I started, I said, do prior art search, right? Do prior art search to see if you've actually invented something. If you find out that you've invented something, say, don't publish, because you don't know what will make you billionaire tomorrow. Don't publish. Publish only the things that you know that indeed are part of what you've already filed for patent. If you've not filed for patent, don't publish. Unless you just want to give it out to someone somewhere to take your technology. Don't publish, please. Dr. Tukude is there. We will guide you. He's the boss in that area. I think you say you shouldn't publish, yeah? Don't publish. Otherwise, you're going to throw Biust work out to the public domain.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let me take a student maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so what the diamond voting system, is it something that will be replacing already working systems? And if so, who is the main beneficiary of the system?
Yes, from where we stand, I already see politics. I don't want to mention. If you succeed in having this system running, Biust become the big player. They need to open up a spin-off company, which can go maybe under already existing company that we have. The manufacturing this is going to beat all existing German sorting system, because those are the ones using individual sensors, that is XRT, XRL. Now you have one machine which is able to do everything, right? With still a high speed and reduce cost, because from where I sit, with around 3 to 4 million, you should be able to finish one German sorter. Now, if one German sorter costs around 12, 13 million, you are using 2 German sorters, 20-something million. You don't need to buy 2 German sorters, correct? Yes. So we beat already in the market. We're already out there. Now, the main beneficiary, those have not come up with the sharing formula, and have also queried that price. There should be a system to determine how much goes to the inventors, how much goes to the university. Remember, even if Zungeru leaves Biust today, Zungeru will still be benefiting as long as that thing is making money. Until I die, even if I die, somebody will take over and you'll still be benefiting. Unless that system is not making money. As long as that system is making money, I'll still be benefiting from that system. There is a sharing formula. I don't know where this is. I know some institution is 60-40 60 to inventors, 40 to university, some is 80, 20, depends. But we need that document because there are already 8 granted patents. So otherwise, tomorrow we'll be taking ourselves to court. I hope your answer is your answer. Eh? No, I know this is not listening to me. Yes, inventors. I only see Joanna is here, Mangona is here. I know when we start fighting, if we're not given our rights, but we'll not do that anyway. Till when it gets. Yes. Professor.
Prof, thank you very much for that presentation. Very insightful. Encouraging experience that I hear that I'm not doing it with time. They got motivation. Work hard with us. Yeah, well, it's actually exactly what he asked for. That answer about beneficiation. The beneficiary of your. I was just from a layman's perspective, right? First of all, from the civil engineering department, when our students are like we perform topics for them to bring the techniques area. So it's very difficult. So really work with the math, especially where there are samples of where the numbers are mined at, right? It's always difficult for them to help us from the mines. The last part when we were demonstrating how we'll be like that, how it's going to work. And you also mentioned that it's the best that I was going to be used and then it's going to be housed, right? Did I get it?
I didn't get it right.
After the construction of the system,
yes,
it's
owned by Biust.
Right.
Yes.
So what I was interested in was especially that part about the benefit from it was going forward later. With the inherited system, obviously you have developed it to sort the just have to sort the numbers.
Yes.
And people are going to have to work with the minds.
Yes.
I was hoping to hear you mentioning something about collaboration or communicating with the mining industry, their contribution, and also in the future if the system is how and like obviously they shouldn't go anywhere except just within that we can do it.
Yeah.
And I know if that we transported will be the sometimes surrounding the vehicle carrying those. And obviously it is going to do the sort of the dam, which means we're going to have to be done somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I think the last time you said some small company.
Yes.
So I was just interested in that part about the engagement with the mining industry, just about their interest and also later if I now throw out the what's the implication of it, and especially around the issues surrounding the dam.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I didn't get it here initially. The machine is not as it's going to be housed in Biust. We are just going to produce it and sell it. So when we sell, we take you through how you're going to use it. There will be manual and the process, how you're going to operate it and all that. So you buy it. If it's GTLC, whosoever, if it's Lokara or whatever, we sell the machine to them. They operate it where they want to operate it. But remember, we still service them because it's produced here. So, and some of the things some people don't know is not just the production, it's the afterwork maintenance. That is where we're going to make a lot of money. So you need to act fast. I'll just be a consultant. That time I'll retire because I'll retire.
You still need me class, my friend.
The students, they say they're tired with me. Some staff say they're tired.
One, yeah.
Sorry to ask this question. I know your investment in being for a while. We are in this way take current right now by years. Years we know very well that we keep there in terms of how are we prepared? Right? In terms of how our school going. And how are we going to be affected with that? Also, the feeling that in consideration, how are we guiding our we'll still need today. And we know China and the US are the best in terms of yeah, we
Okay, some questions I might not be able to directly answer because they are bit in the business domain, maybe director of business. Sorry, but I will just try to answer you because I'm not, mine is just technology, right? So some things I won't be able to answer you, but let me also put it straight to you to say there is a reason why we select some of these key countries, US, China, Russia, Aripo, those that are in the diamond domain. Reason being that we want to cover these key players. We've covered China, we've covered Russia, we've covered South Africa, we've covered Aripo 12 countries, we've covered US. Okay, so if US does not really want to buy our diamond sorter, we have other players. They can sell it to other means. Remember, we have the bigger guys. China, population is very high. And that was why I was keen to make sure that we get that patent in China. Because these are the guys who can easily pound your system and produce it and sell it off. And sell it within their country as well. So for me, we are covered in the sense that we are able to sell to those that will use the machines in those countries like Russia, who are the big guys, China, who are the big guys. US is a minority, US is a big country, but in terms of diamond, they don't really have diamonds. Yes, the technology, yes, you can sell it there, but they are not really diamond producing countries. So it's not the technology. So in terms of that tariff, I will not be able to answer that. Maybe someone will bring me out because I'm not in the business today.
I have a question. Maybe
you want to answer that or you want to answer the question?
No, I have a question.
Okay,
and I think my question maybe is perhaps because I'm not a scientist. I'm just curious. You know that these artificial diamonds, right? And real diamonds. So how does your science and engineering work with the artificial diamond concept? Does it make a difference?
The actual diamond, you don't need to sort.
Oh.
It's already been manufactured in the lab. You don't need to sort. You know, this one came with some gravel, some other impurities and all that. So we need to separate them from those impurities that they are not really impurities, they are useful, but for us they are impurities because they are not diamond. So we need to separate them.
I thought it was about size. Okay. I get that.
Yeah, we have sizes also. Yeah, but unless if you now want to, because those artificial already been designed on with size and whatever that they want. So we don't need to sort.
I thought my question was, can one tell using your machine whether it is an artificial one or a natural one?
Not in our program, that is not input, but you can still program it if you have the characteristics of the artificial diamond, but it's not in this system because our system is just to sort.
Maybe I should just go. There, it's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between artificial diamonds and natural diamonds. Diamonds, generally, when you want to look at the quality, you do Raman spectroscopy on them. And at 1331 per cm, that is the signature of pure, very pure diamond. So they have improved and improved and improved to the extent that it's very difficult now to differentiate between the two. But I think the technology here is for certain natural diamonds, it's not for certain artificial diamonds.
Thank you, Prof. So just for certain, I have a new information.
Right. Well, thank you very much. One more
Is
question.
there no one online? Are we sure no one online?
Dr. Sugu, are you observing, monitoring is there any?
There's only one so far. The person is asking, when is the NDA document applicable during the interview process?
When is it applicable?
I just take him outside that when you get out of that group that we are showing you.
Yes, it's when you know when you get out of that particular loop, after you might have say that indeed I've invented something. That is when you can now want to disclose to third party, and for that third party for you guys to sign to say yes, you've seen what I've invented, so you need to sign this, so that if you get out, I told you for answer. That is when it's applicable. As long as you don't disclose, no, don't sign. You are not signing anything. And even okay, recently, SIPA asked me to sign something, which I disclosed one of my invention to them. They need to sign because I've disclosed it to them. So we have already signed that as well. Because they say they want to train me to somewhere and others. So for them to train, they say I need to disclose. And I said, okay, if I have to disclose, you need to sign. So they send me the form, I have signed. So yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. One more question.
In terms of patent, do you only with the securing your idea, your typical idea? How about looking in terms of employment, where you need to generate employment manufacturing wise? You just end there, or you can even protect the manufacturing
The process
where you say, I want to bring home, generate jobs here.
Oh yeah, generally when you get patent, my sister, already you are a potential millionaire, you know. But that depends on that my elder brother that side. He allows you to get the millions. So what happens is you get a spin-off company from your invention, which already you must document before you are granted the right. Prototype, it's able to go into market because it must meet the industry standards. After that, the company pull it up. Okay, and that company has to be your company, but not your company, sorry. The person who employ you. Okay, they determine which companies is going to produce it. Then they can either decide to say, only just this company is going to be doing this, nothing more. And it's just going to be doing that. Remember, you are a student here. We don't need to send you to Lukala anymore. You do your internship there, right? You bring people, employ them. You graduate, we employ you there. I remember some university, I don't want to mention them before people say I'm mentioning some institution. They are where they are today because of their invention. They don't depend on anyone at all. Most of their students work there. They employ them there. Their professors work there and also teach. So, and that is where we want to be. Just want to be MIT of Africa. Is that not this?
It is.
MIT of Africa. So we are going to be employed. Even you, we don't want you to leave the system. We're going to employ you. Dr. Emmanuel Pole always say he's going to employ you in a nice place.
Then you stay 9 months.
Yes. I hope you are sorted. I can rest.
One question. There was one question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Please say it louder so that the recording can capture your voice, please. It's important.
My question was about the diamond sorting system.
Everyone is on diamond sorting. No one is smart switching. No one is. Yeah. All right.
You've mainly spoken about diamond detection, but not really about the sorting process after that.
Yeah, you know, the system, generally you put those particles into the tubes and the X-ray generators actually bombard those things, those particles along with the diamonds that pass through. And these are either being detected using the X-ray, those sources, those sensors, either XRT or XRF sensors, which measure what I've mentioned, which measure the absorption coefficient. Okay, and now we have already stored absorption coefficient of a diamond in the system, in the processor. So that we're able to detect whether yes, it's a diamond or not. If it's a diamond, it goes into the diamond bin. If it's not, it's go into the waste bin. And those guys will be able to detect and they direct them where to go. And that is just a sorting process. It's a simple sorting. If you need more details on the process, that is why I'm saying I will not be able to tell you the details. Try to pick the patent document, right? It describes all the system in the patent document. Okay. But if you need more explanation, you can come to my office. We are here today. You can come to my office. I will take you through the system. Even the simulation, I will take you through the system. The public sector will not allow for you to take you through all that process. Yes.
One more question back in front of you, Prof.
Sir? Which one?
Good evening, and I would like to thank you for your presentation, and also thank the youth community for the invitation. For me, I would say my organization, my company deals with DI relations and also works closely with Profs of the President. I think for me, I'm interested on the money part. I heard you mention millions when you talk about so I was interested in have you already prepared documentation for people who can be potential investors or have you looked at it something like that so that it doesn't need to go beyond into the research you want to do, because I know sometimes maybe less funds, it ends up making you to compromise. So yeah, so that's why I'm interested in that. Have you already prepared communication to people who can be interested in investing or who believes in your project?
And I think the Office of Technology Transfer has done that, and I think the business, madam, she's also there. I think they're dealing with that. That is not, sorry, I'm not trying to move away. It's not my business. My business is to put the men work. Others have to be given the job to do that so that I can concentrate. Commercialization, so that I can concentrate in the class. My students are waiting for me. And they said I shouldn't die soon. I said, what did God say I should die today? Yeah, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. But the Office of the Security Transfer, they are dealing with that. And in fact, they want to decide whether we should go into producing the diamond sorter, or we should license it out, or we should sell off the technology. If they want to sell off, I will be happy. You know what? I'll get my money in. Thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions? Right.
Just one issue.
Very last one.
Yeah, one issue for the benefit of our students in terms of recovery. But first of all, thank you very much for the very good presentation. You know, if you started your research here, you realize that it is patented. Somebody else in UB, for example, is doing exactly the same. And he might start, or that person in UB might start 5 or 6 months after you, and then you at the same time patent is going to be given the priority.
To file first. If he likes, let him sit in the lab and be doing his work, as long as he has not filed for patent.
How about if you file exactly at the same time?
The one that the office received first. The one, if it's SIPA, SIPA will say, I've received this one.
10 a.m. I will see the other one, 11 a.m. Priority is given to the one that first five. I mentioned it in my statement. First five is the priority. So because in fact it will be easier because the documents are there, they don't even need to search further. Oh my friend, this one is already here. Take your own back home.
Is that intellectual property is a property, just like your house, like your land. So if you go and get a certificate of occupancy now, they can't give it to another person. It's a property, just like land, it's intellectual.
So the reason I believe is that our students must be aware of this process.
Yeah, you need to move fast. You need to move fast, very fast.
It's a very interesting discussion, so maybe I can add one more
You
question.
can also meet me in my office. You're always coming to my office.
I think maybe in the interest of time, maybe you might agree that.
No, you meet. It's always my office. Even yesterday was my office. I told him that I have a lecture, so meet me tomorrow.
I think we better go to the closing remarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right. At this point, let me call on the closing remarks item by Professor. Thank you.
Give him a round of
Thank you, Mr. Namo. And let me just commend our professor here for a wonderful presentation. And I will just say all protocol observed before I go into what I have prepared. I have prepared something by way of closing remarks because, like the Prof mentioned, there needs to sort of add a little bit of flavor in terms of the business side of things. So I just prepared a short one-pager, which I'll quickly go through, right? So before I do that, I just wanted to respond to what you were saying about what's going on with the Trump and the tariffs and all that, right? So the tariffs are inflationary, right? So what it means is that it's going to make things more costly. So if they have to import goods, right, to produce the product, right? If the country imposing the tariff, right, you are importing from that country, then it makes those things more costly. So to drive the cost up, cost of the solution. Okay, so let me go back to, I hope that sort of, yeah, okay. So I prepared just a few pointers, and it will touch on what was also discussed during the discussion that followed the excellent presentation and lecture by Professor Zungeru'S. Professor Zungeru'S in his presentation mentioned that he got the patent several years ago, and he's still trying to produce the machine that you want to sell, right? And I just wanted to say that we need to make sure that we support our scientists and inventors so that they get to that stage, at least within the first 2 to 3 years, right, of getting the intellectual property right. Why is this important? Because, you know, we live in a VUCA world, VUCA, like there's a lot of rapidly changing things in our business environment. And the entrepreneurship, right, in terms of, you know, actually producing and getting actually producing the good and getting the services out of the invention. And then for the economy to benefit in terms of employment, you know, the betterment of society, etc. That takes place beyond that patenting. So if we can get the product or the service to be out, we take it to the market like within the first 2 to 3 years, like we assist them to make this machine a reality quickly, then you know, I think we are going to make a lot more benefits. We will get a lot more benefits out of the invention. I mentioned that, you know, we live in a world that is rapidly changing. The same thing happens with when you look at markets, for example. That is where there's competition in industry, right? So you find that in industry, there are always competing goods and services. So somebody will come up with a better invention, which is using a totally different technology. And if it is better, then businesses might switch to that, right? So for example, if we're going back to diamonds, since we're talking about diamonds, we know that we've been relying on natural diamonds, right? But there's artificial diamonds. So we have to think about it this way. We spend a lot of time coming with the patent, but we need to make sure that he's assisted to bring the machine as far as possible. So he's gotten to the stage where he needs to be assisted, and I believe we should try our best to do that as an institution so that we can get to the stage where he's either selling it or getting some potential investor putting some equity into a company. And I hear that TTO is working on it, is looking into that. Yeah, so it's important for us to move fast because you'll be able to establish a position in terms of this machine and also a brand loyalty. But if a competitor comes, with a better product, then there'll be that switch, right? And you've put all this money into coming up with a product, so we need to be aware of that. And then, generally speaking, I know that you touched on the return on investment. Yeah, the longer you take, right, to take it to the market, the longer you're going to take to get back the money that you put in. So let's support him to move to the next stage. The same thing with the legal protection. There's a time period, isn't it? So the longer you take, the risk you run of getting to the end and you didn't really finish. I know that we are cash strapped, but we really need to find ways to support the Prof here. Another thing, just moving away from this machine, just generally, when we talk about goods and services, we know that there's demand, there's demand for those things. Otherwise, there won't be a need to produce them. We have to also be aware as scientists that consumers buy, right? They change, preferences change and things like that. So we have to be aware that as we produce products and we're trying to patent a prototype, we also involve, we do some market testing and those sort of things. So I think, launching the product sooner is going to make sure that the demand is still in line with what you produce. Because now if the preference change and you come with the product a bit later, people have moved on to something else. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, but I think it was an excellent evening, colleagues. And all of us who came here, you are appreciated. You are really appreciated, right from the VC, but all the way to the students who are here. And I believe we all benefit a lot from the lecture and the fruitful discussions that we have had. And I know we started this tradition of public lectures, and I think it's a good one, which will continue. Thank you.
It's over. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the session.
Maybe we can all thank the problem do again before we leave.
Yeah.
With a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Madam. That's what I call you.
Thank you so much.
Please, and may we ask, should you invite the students, students? Dr. Sukudu or the collaborators, please come forth for the group chat. The collaborators, the vendors, please come forth for the group chat.
This year's staff, you are here. All my students here, please. Prof, don't go yet. Dr. Mangwara. Dr. Mangwara, don't go yet. Don't go yet.
Thank you so much.
state churches that have interest in Biust, use Biust calculator.
Okay.
You're working on one. Hey, two times you got me in. When the PC calls students, Thank you, guys. Yeah, no.